You're walking down the street. There's some fucking cheese bag there with a piano or something, right? There's fucking, and he's like playing.
Well, like in the bus station?
Yeah, at the bus station or where else could you be? In prison? No. That'd be Johnny Cash. Folsom Prison. No. You're sitting there, yeah, the guy's got a fucking piano or whatever. And all of a sudden you got to clap and you got to why is this? Why do you have to suddenly, if some dude's fixing transmissions, nobody fucking claps for that guy. He could be fucking great. He could be making great transmission. That guy could be a goddamn engineering genius who's going to change energy, transmission or whatever you call it, and efficiency, and make our lives better. But who claps for that guy?
Yeah.
Does anybody? Who claps for the transmission guy?
It's it's because it's, maybe because it's like art. Like art is like this thing. It's like hard to understand. It's sort of like if you clap, it's like it almost seems like that like you're showing like
Oh,
like
it's a value signaling.
Like I'm a connoisseur of like bus station piano playing,
Right.
Maybe it's like that, or
fuck yeah. There's a pride to that. There's a fucking pride.
Bit of pride,
Because where you're sitting there and you're like videoing it. You're fucking just that is awesome, and then everybody around you gets all fired up because like you're like making it look like you know what you're doing, and then everybody gets all excited, and then they. Something funny happened on the other night is that was a Hoboken with Gabe, right? And Gabe was taking pictures of me, and sun was going down. We're right next to the pier at the Hoboken Pier, right? Pier 1, and there's all these girls there taking Instagram pictures. Well, Gabe was like pulling the full fucking Da Vinci or whatever, Pablo Picasso, and he's all like crouching down and like shooting pictures of me, and I'm just like, that everybody around us, some guy next to us goes to Gabe, he goes, "Hey, you look like you know what you're doing. Can you take a picture of us? We're going to get married." So he's like, Gabe's like, oh. he goes, yeah, he goes, "Look at him like you just looked at him." He's like, "Do that again." And she's like, "I don't know how to do that. I just do that when I want to." And he's like, "No, just try. And so she tries and they laugh and they takes a picture. And then everybody's like, the next guy like literally goes, "Hey, can you take a picture of us? Take a picture of me." And then Gabe's like,
well, that could be a start of a new career for him. Seriously.
He was going crazy, man.
You gotta encourage this.
He was the what is that, like the genius crazy artist picture taker at Pier 1 Park that night. Yeah. And everybody fell for it. Like everybody did it. I'm serious. Like I had to walk away because Gabe was busy. He was working.
Wow.
Yeah, one after the other. I went and sat by the ducks. Yeah.
What was the key to his move? Was it the crouching?
I think the key thing was he was looking like a professional somehow.
But what was it that differentiated himself from your average
I don't know.
guy?
I didn't really notice what he was. I guess he was getting into it, and he was like, he's probably using his body language,
Getting down low?
Yeah. Down low, up high, sideways,
Right.
And then all of a sudden, everybody just went fucking mad. And I think it was that first guy was the key.
Right.
Because the guy said it loud. He goes, "You look like you know what you're doing. Can you take our picture?" And then everybody, the foreigners started doing it.
Yeah.
Like the Indians, like they hardly, there's people that were hardly speaking English asking him.
There's probably a critical mass of people at some point too, like where at first just a couple guys are like, you know what you're doing, but then if there's like, I don't know what it is, 4, 5, 6, somebody's going to start clapping at some point, right? There's a critical mass there at some point.
Well, maybe. The thing is, he kind of earned it, That's different. It's like these cheese bags, these chiselers with a piano in the. I feel like they're kind of like bullies. A lot of these musicians in public, they're bullies.
Well, especially if they're in an enclosed space.
You have to walk by them. They're fucking right there.
If it's like underground mass transit, you got a captive audience right there.
Right, and you're standing there waiting for the train. The fucking guy's right there. What are you gonna do? And then one guy's acting like he knows what he's doing, and then everybody's like just sitting there, And like people were putting money in there, and then some people walk by the money thing, and then everybody kind of looks at them like there's this whole fucking drama going on.
Right.
Well, you're just goddamn waiting for your fucking train.
Yeah, but it's art, you know? I think. I mean, I don't understand what, you know, and it's about the person being there. It's like you might go to, you know, a museum or something. There might be a beautiful painting, and you don't clap. But if the painter's there...
If he's actually doing the painting...
you know...
Yeah.
It's like if the guy is there, you know, it's like you got this thing, like where you got to, clapping's pretty cheap, too. You know, you got...
Right.
I mean,
Doesn't cost much.
You got to say, you know, there's that, you know.
What
if you're sort of, I guess if you're awkwardly there standing around, you could also be the chiseler guy that's just there to get the free piano, and you see the other guy giving $1 and you're just giving up a clap.
Yeah.
You know, I mean...
I think they get torn about guys like that, because I'm kind of like that. I'll sit there. If the guy is good,
right,
I will actually get into it, you know. But what I don't like is that I often don't have enough expertise to know if he's good in whatever it is. But I know that the other guys that are acting like they do, they don't either know. You know? And so it's just like this weird thing. And like, you think about this, like everybody that's watching him, right? Everybody that's watching him is a human being, right? They all have jobs. They all do stuff. Nobody claps for them.
Nope.
And they're clapping for this guy just because he's playing music. And they're just idiots, because every time that some famous guy goes to the station and plays a guitar, you know, undercover, he wears something different, nobody pays attention to him every time. So there is no like, I know this guy's good. Very, very rare. You know, like one little kid will sit there and get all excited about whatever the fuck it is. It could be a guy opening a can, but you know.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, that's the sad thing, is you get some guy who's a concert pianist. I saw this in New York. I think it was in New York. I saw it on a YouTube video. But he was going to go play a concert, you know, the big, like, what is it, Carnegie Hall? And then on the way, he stopped at this train station and played, and everybody walked by him. And then they showed him at Carnegie Hall. And it was just like this thing. And I'm like, I don't know. I think it says a lot about society that society doesn't want to see, you know. Because he was different, because he's a guy that people paid for, right? And then, so that's the other, that's right. There's two fucking angles here. One is there's a cheese bag who's bullying you for attention. You're giving him money. You're clapping for this fucking total loser, right? Who knows 3 bars. And then there's another guy who's a concert pianist playing in front of people and nobody knows. It's a comedy of errors, really.
Yeah, but it's also like you could be the average guy walking down the street and be like, look, when I want to hear piano, I'll go to Carnegie Hall. I'm here to catch a bus.
But is the guy at Carnegie Hall just exactly the same, just that he's in Carnegie Hall? Maybe it's a museum and a Carnegie Hall. We should ask the guys who run these things, because I bet they'll tell us. I bet it's the same as the fucking subway. It's just all bullshit. Like, there's very few good guys. They probably say, oh yeah, we had 30 shows this month, and like one was okay. The rest were just fucking totally sucked, you know. There's
a lot of different things to look at. I mean, I'm still hung up on, like, how did the piano get there in the first place? You know?
Right. Down the stairs and
yeah.
Right. You two played in the subway, but then see, they cheated because you could kind of tell it was them or something, like, and everybody got excited, but it was like a bunch of guys too, you know. Or this brings up another fucking thing. I do not like those motherfuckers who do that mime thing covered in silver paint. Now that I'm in America, I'm seeing these guys.
Oh, we have them here. No. Yeah, silver cup, silver mime.
Yeah, they're just cheese. They're total fucking sleaze bags, you know, and they're passive aggressive, right?
Oh, absolutely, like closet rapist.
You grew up here. What do you think about these guys?
Dangerous, scary. Don't you know? It's like, you know, the guy that might at daytime he might be like silver mime, nighttime he's like clown guy in the woods.
No.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Really?
That's my theory.
Wow. Yeah. You know, I have the same feeling in Bangkok about trannies, especially trannies. They call them trannies. You know, they're LGBT here, but there they call them lady boys or whatever. They have different vocabulary. You know, forgive the Thais for having different vocabulary than you. You know, but these guys would come by because I lived right downtown. Like I lived right in the street where they all were. Like basically Soy 11, and I realized after being there,
you lived there?
Yeah, for 5 years.
On Tranny Street.
Pretty much. I mean, there was like right near Tranny Street. Yeah.
All right.
And in the morning when I would, well, they were in our elevator, even in our building. But in the morning, see, it took me a while to figure this out. I'd see these guys and girls walking around with sweats, which is weird in Thailand, you know?
Right.
But if you look closely, those ones in sweats, they're dudes who were girls last night. And they're girls who were, you know, riding the pole last night. And
well, good thing you were sober, man.
Yeah.
Like Tranny Street, that's like not a good place for Drinkin Dave to live.
Well, the thing is, I was always disgusted by them. Like I never had any sexual interest in prostitutes or any of the type of prostitutes. Like it just does not turn me on. Like all I see when I see them, it's like you like say you want to eat a hamburger. When I see them, I think of meat, like in that movie.
It's like Beyond Meat.
The Wall. It's covered in worms and stuff.
Oh.
You know, like that's what I see them as.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it's like fake meat.
No, I see them as covered in worms, rotten, disgusting,
okay.
You know, yeah,
right.
Maggots all over the place. That's what I see prostitutes as, you know.
Okay.
And any kind of professional sex people, I see them that way. I don't know why. It's just like it's an instinct in me. And it's not, I'm not talking theoretical. I'm talking my stomach doesn't feel good.
Right.
Like I don't have any interest in them at all. Anytime I find out a girl's a professional, I'm just like, no.
Well, you know, everybody doesn't like everything. Like, you know, you don't like liver.
I can't eat liver. Nope.
You know, so,
can't eat liver.
You know.
I mean, I could if I had to, but I kind of feel like vomiting, you know, for some reason.
Yeah.
But at night, they are these glamorous things, and same with the prostitutes. But in the morning,
well, that's
it is scary walking
Yes.
around Bangkok. When I would get up at 5 a.m,
right.
Oh my God, it was scary.
Yeah.
And I was sober too, so I could totally see what was going on.
Just think about the poor alcoholic guys waking up in the cold, hard light of reality in the morning. You know,
I was in Pattaya.
It's not good.
I was in Pattaya walking down Walking Street. There was some foreigner.
Sad, right?
He was sleeping on the
Fucking
street.
sad.
He was sleeping on the street. He'd been robbed, and he was on drugs.
Spooning with a tranny?
No, he was just like
after that.
No, he was just left for dead, like in the street.
Well, okay.
And no money. He had no wallet. He just looked terrible. And I looked at him, and I just thought, man, that guy's like, man, it's the night before. He probably looked great, throwing around money, you know, being the man at the club. But he's throwing money at maggots, as far as I'm concerned. Like prostitutes, like the whole thing to me is so fake. I like cannot stand it. It's covered in maggots. Like fucking just get away. You know, it's a prostitute. That's the thing.
Okay.
That's the problem.
All right.
No, if somebody's doing that and that they enjoy doing it, like as a hobby or whatever, it doesn't. That's totally different. These are cold motherfuckers. I've seen them rob people. I've seen them attack people. I know they regularly murder people. Guys get thrown off balconies all the time. Like I know how violent these guys are.
Yeah, no.
And also the prostitutes too. I seen the prostitutes go fucking crazy on people.
Yeah.
I seen fights at 3 a.m. I'll have jet lag and I'll go down to the go down to the supermarket, the convenience store to get some food or whatever because I can't sleep, sometimes, and I'll just see fights that are just crazy. Drunken prostitutes just fucking gouging each other's eyes out, screaming at each other, tearing their clothes off, and it is not sexy, not at all, man. It's scary actually, and then, but I guess like what you're saying is those piano guys, those silver covered mime guys, the prostitutes, they're all part of this kind of like group of people that we just kind of ignore, but they're actually pretty dark.
It's like a secret cabal, right? The silver mime, like clown in the woods,
right?
Tranny prostitute.
They're like the
cabal.
They're like
they're going to take over the banking system.
They are, yeah. Oh, yeah. They probably own. They are the Illuminati. No, these guys. They're probably they're the old circus. You know, you would go to the circus. Guys would fucking run away from home and join the circus, right? I think that's what these guys are. This is the circus now. The circus is now the street.
Oh, that's like the universal origin story of all of them. The guy that runaways from home to join the circus. Some guys like what path are you going to take? Silver mime, tranny
Right.
prostitute,
Pimp, prostitute, like street dealer, what do you call it? Like just general alcohol on the streets, wreaking havoc generally.
right?
General havoc wreaker, Yeah. Getting in trouble guy.
Yeah.
Maybe he's a
like occasion, right.
drifter.
Like in the middle of his career, he might be like featured in an episode of bum fights, right? Fighting some other guy for a bottle of like fucking
25 cents.
Yeah.
Riding a shopping cart down the hill into a McDonald's sign. Yeah.
Like get two bums to fight over a bottle of Mad Dog. It's a good episode. They're halfway there. That's the halfway point.
Well, I was thinking some people are kind of drifters, and maybe these guys are not always silver mime guys. They try different professions on the street.
Right.
They might have a flexibility there.
Yeah, maybe they tried everything on the street.
Yeah. Makes sense. Maybe they try a little pickpocketing. I was surprised how cleaned up fucking Times Square was.
Well, coronavirus, man.
Dude, Times Square was clean, man.
Yeah, but it's a little bit.
Wasn't like the old days.
Well, yeah. Things are a little bit shut down right now there.
Even the skateboarders that I saw, when we watched the skateboarders, I put it in a video.
But it is cleaned up. Absolutely cleaned up. Like you remember from like.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, from the late 70s, early 80s. Yeah.
I only know from movies that stuff, but I remember, hearing about it.
Good old days back then.
What was it like?
You
were here. You grew up here.
There were tranny prostitutes, but I don't know. It seemed like that all seemed healthy back then. I don't know why. It's like back then, like cocaine was good for you, cigarettes were good for you.
Oh wow!
70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
It's like
the brands. Doctors
there's still like Camel Joe.
Yeah.
And
and
it was like Times Square was like peep shows and sex. Like it's like a place you could go in for like $5 for that's like the birthplace of like the glory hole. And the
Carney,
$5,
the Carney,
the $5 glory hole, like cheap, like, what's the word? What's that dance? It's like a sex carnival. People used to run away. That was like if. You might run away to the circus, or you'd run away to Times Square. It's like the classic, you could...
Oh, really? Times Square?
Yeah, man. Sure. Like Penn Station, Runaways, Times Square. That was like a whole thing. That was like the gig economy back in the late 70s,
The beach we go to is Enoshima in Japan. I found out that a lot of those, there's always pretty young girls there. What they'll do is they'll run away from home, say in some farming village in Japan, and then in the summer, like schoolgirls, like high school, college, and maybe like early after college, like kind of that young age, right? What they'll do is two of them, they'll both say, "Fuck this place, it's boring. Let's go to Enoshima." So they call it Shonan. They go to Shonan, and then they would just stay there for the summer, as long as they could, and then you would see them on the beach sleeping with no tent or anything, and they were just kind of like hoping something would go on that night. And because Japan's safe, they never really had any major problems. might be some sexual advances or whatever, but there was no guns. You know, they weren't getting shot. They weren't getting
Right.
kidnapped. You know, it was like basically they're just sleeping on the beach and like mosquitoes biting them, and you'd see them like kind of like, you know, drinking a can of coffee or drinking a beer or whatever. And that's what I found out later. That's what they do every summer. Like they'll run away from home and go to Shonan, and then the guys, the Japanese guys, will come by in their cars. You know, the Bosozokus will come by in their cars, and then the girls will jump in the cars, and then like the summer is raging. You know, when this kind of goes on, it's kind of like people running away from home underground. But I think this is different than the carnies. I'd like to make a distinction between young people who live in boring places and need to get away temporarily, and then long-term scumbags who have no morals, who basically live in the underbelly, and they mix together. And those kids can get really fucked over by those hardcore guys.
Yes. I mean, it makes you think of like that movie Taxi Driver and Jodie Foster.
Oh,
great movie. It's like I think that was her first movie. She's looking good. I mean,
yeah,
you know, looking good. I mean, she was young. You know,
yeah.
Obviously too young, but like, but Runaway, runs away from Minnesota.
She was Minnesota. Okay.
She's like the runaway time. You know, the classic thing of like the time. You know, the runs away and then gets, you know, the mob. You know, there's like the long-term hardcore evil mob guys that like get her and start pimping her out, and then Robert De Niro, the taxi guy, you know, like he's mental, but like he saves her. You know, like he
he saves her. He loves her, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he loves her. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I'd say so.
No question.
Yeah.
Everybody can love, you know. It doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah. He did love her, like in a kind of Christian sort of way. He had this crazy thing going on. I think she wanted, like, I think she made, you know, it was sort of like, could he have been her boyfriend? It had that vibe, but like, it was like a little too, you know, she was too young. It's like all he could do was do the Christian thing and save her from the mob guys and like get a thank you note.
Also, he was a little too awkward too.
Yeah.
He was a mess.
Yeah, he was. There was something wrong.
Once she got old enough to know what was going on, she'd be like, "Oh, this guy's fucked." It's kind of like the college girl who fucks her professor. She might be with him for a little while, and then she realizes.
Yeah, he had this whole thing with like the prostitute virgin.
Oh, dude, I can't stand.
There's something wrong with him, like with that, where it's like sort of attracted to the prostitute, but hating the prostitute, wanting to turn them all back into virgins, and rescuing her, and then after rescuing her, not really having interest in her. It's like
he was an interesting character because
there was a lot of interesting things going on.
Didn't he end up being kind of a hero in the movie?
In the end, yeah, he's a hero. Like in the end, it's like he gets the thank you. You know, he, you know, and again, this is back in the 70s, like where it was like sort of okay to shoot people in New York. Like there were a lot of guns, you know, and like easy to get a gun, and he just shot. He like went, you know, like he was. If you watch it, it seems a little overboard, like his whole like going in and fucking shooting up everybody. But then in the end, he doesn't get in trouble because he rescued her. From
scumbags.
From scumbags, and gets like a thank you letter from the parents.
Saying
like, thank you for like rescuing like our daughter. We'd come visit you, but we don't have enough money. We're all stuck here in Minnesota.
Well, that's what reminds me of something. You know, I think heroes and absolute villains are very similar too, because if you remember Richard Jewell, he got he was a big hero, and then they found, I can't remember what the story was, but basically he was a big hero in the news, and then they found out that he basically caused it, whatever it was. And then I read a lot. If you read this, it's quite interesting. A lot of fires are started by firefighters, and it's not well publicized, but apparently there's a type of personality that would become a firefighter because they want to be a hero. They're willing to do anything to be it. So they're going to start a fire so that they can put it out.
Right.
And because firefighters, the dynamic that makes this possible, people might say, "Oh, you're against firefighters." No, it's not anything about firefighters. The thing is, if you make people heroes, okay, war heroes or whatever, people are going to do anything. Some people, they're the type where they want to be a fucking hero, right? And so they're going to do whatever it takes to be a hero. One guy might do a heroic act, and another guy might set a fire so that he can put it out, right? Apparently, it's a pretty serious thing. Like, I think that there's quite a large percentage of fires are started by firefighters. Or, even just, they're not even putting the fire out. They're firefighters, they're firebugs, and they get into firefighting. And then the press doesn't want to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. Because this is like one of these dark, dark things. But when you think about it, this is the kind of thing that needs to be talked about. This is the kind of thing that the firemen need to talk about. They need to say, hey, don't be a fucking firebug. Any of you motherfuckers get caught, if any of you motherfuckers are here to be a fucking hero, fuck you. You're not here to be a hero. Right. You're here to do your job, and do not be a fucking hero.
That just might make it worse, though. The firebug guys is going to be like in there, just like. I think what you do is you like somehow call them all out, like say like we're making like a new fireman calendar, but we want exclusive, the firebug fireman calendar, try to get those guys and just
like the evil fireman
just get the
calendar.
The evil fireman calendar, like
Right.
I mean, that would be hot. That would be pretty hot for the ladies, right? Like
the evil fireman.
Yeah.
Talk about bad boys.
Calendar.
Yeah.
On the fridge.
Yeah. Everybody likes bad boy, right?
Yeah.
What's worse than fucking burning down a whole city, right?
That's right.
You're like serious bad boy there. Got to get some some credibility. Kudos for that, right? Wow. It's like there's a fine line between this whole thing. Like, what we used to do when we were kids? We used to in Southern California. What we would do was we would go to Mexico.
You want an egg?
And that was I'll have an egg, and that was our thing. We would go to fucking Mexico. So what would happen was this: guys, if you want to see the culture I'm talking about, watch a movie which is fantastic, which is called Big Wednesday. You ever seen Big Wednesday?
No.
That is a story of Southern California surfers.
Okay.
And it is exactly what we're talking about. Like here in New York, the kids are going to run away from home, right? They're going to go to Times Square. They're going to go do stuff on the streets. They're going to figure it out,
The
right?
circus.
They're going to go to the circus, right? Enjoy the circus. In Southern California, you go to Mexico. So that's what we used to do. We used to go to Mexico. We'd get totally drunk and then basically drive back home. Absolutely blind drunk, and it's like an hour and a half drive.
Oh, the good old days.
I cannot believe
the good old days, and they just pull you over and say sleep it off.
Yeah, they were pretty cool.
No DWIs back then.
Yeah, no, they weren't giving DWIs as long as you didn't crash.
Right.
And I think there was some good in that kind of forgiveness of people, like a lot of good kids in their past have done stuff that could have got them in serious trouble. And they went on to live good lives. I like when kids get a break myself, because kids do things. Kids do things they regret. They don't understand yet. Even though the kids think they understand. But anyway, we would go to Mexico, and that was our circus, going to Mexico. So when I turned 18, me and my buddy Mark, we got a car. I think it was my dad's car. And then we went to Mexico. And like all we did was wreak havoc all the time. That was literally all we did. Was just totally madness. And then he enjoyed it so much that he ended up going back a bunch of times. And then my brother, he turned 18 in a Mexican jail. Like, everybody went to Mexican jail. Like, that was a common thing. A lot of my friends died in Mexico. Quite a few of my classmates died in Mexico. It was a common thing. Like, going to Mexico, dying in a car crash, getting robbed. Like, we got robbed by the police a bunch of times. They would always pull you over, steal your watch, take your money. Like, that was our circus in Southern California, was Mexico. and whenever we were in the mood,
Was Mexico a prime destination for runaways, or did they know not to go there?
they wouldn't run away to Mexico, but the ones who went to Mexico a lot it was a kind of a fine line. Like a lot of guys ended up living down there. A lot of my friends live in Central America and Mexico now.
The plan was like escape to Mexico for a while, but there's a hope to come back somehow, some way. Sort of.
It was back then. It was more like just have fun and come back.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
but now it's more long term. You know, there's guys living down there. But like whenever we got into like America was too full of rules, then one of my friends would go, Mexico, baby, Mexico.
Yeah.
And then there's always Mexico, right? And then when I went to AA, I went to AA in 1987. I've been going to AA since 1987. And back then, whenever a guy would slip, which is like get drunk, whenever a guy would slip, he would always steal the money from the seventh tradition, like the volunteer money, and then he would go to Mexico. Like that was a common, like when you go to a meeting, like they're like, well, you know, the treasurer, he slipped and went to Mexico, so you know we're gonna have to like you chip in a little extra, pay rent. That was like a common thing.
It's like only in Mexico could you escape the long hand of AA. come get you, right?
It was a common thing. Like he slipped and went to Mexico. Yeah, so like okay, he'll be back. You know, kind of thing. You know, and like, but a lot of people never came back. Like a lot of people died down there.
Yeah.
You want to hear a great story? This is a story. I believe it's true. It's one of my high school classmates. His dad fought in World War II, it must have been World War II, because this is a long time ago. And he went down to Mexico, and he got in an accident. He was my classmate was on drugs, and a bunch of there was like 3 people in the car. One guy died. No, 2 guys. I think I don't remember how many died, but anyway, he ended up fucked up in the hospital, and because he had coke in the car, the police were going to basically like. There was things about Mexico that were not fair. Like, if you went to Mexico and did normal things, like normal crime, you were fine. But if you were caught with drugs, you were fucked. Like, it was really unfair. Like, in some ways, you got an easy ride if you did something small.
Oh, well,
but if you got caught with drugs in Mexico, end of story, right?
It's like that now in other countries too.
Okay.
Yeah, Indonesia, China. I don't tell your story, but like,
well,
you don't want to get caught.
No, you're gonna like this story.
You get executed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So here's a great story. So his dad. So he's in the hospital. His dad is a vet, and he lives right down this. He lives right down. I can't think of the name of the street, but right near me. And so his dad's a vet. His son's in the hospital and he's coke in the car, and the cops are gonna take him. They're gonna like throw the book at him. He goes down there to see his son. Goes down to the hospital bed, pulls out a gun, tells the nurse to back off. Fucking takes his son, takes him over the border.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah.
Back then, there was no internet.
You could still do that. Yeah. It was
there wasn't like a bunch of cops surrounding the hospital.
Right.
And then once he got out of the hospital, because it was in the middle of nowhere, they really didn't have. They could probably call a couple cops that would be looking, but they didn't even know what car he was driving. Like
nowadays, you can't run anywhere. It's kind of like weird.
Yeah.
There's no.
I always thought he was the coolest fucking dad ever, even though the kid was wrong. You know.
Like if you think if you say committed, you did some crime for some whatever reason, and you had to run, where would you run to? Do you think you could pull it off?
Well,
I guess you'd have to be.
You'd pull a Bin Laden.
There's Bitcoin. You got that going for
you.
Yeah,
you'd pull a Bin Laden. You'd pull a Bin Laden. No, the best.
You got. Oh wow, you got to be full cave guy.
No, the smartest way to go is to hide in plain sight.
Yeah, who's that gangster?
Don't go anywhere.
Right.
Hide in plain sight. Don't stay in the same city, but there's so many people out there today.
You're right. Yeah, maybe.
Don't try to make the big escape.
Right. Just do like your own
Just wait them out. They'll lose interest after a while.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the only way you can do it now. But you need a new name, new identity. You have to operate in cash.
Right. You'd have to do that. Yeah.
Right.
That'd be the smartest thing is don't go anywhere.
No ID. I mean, it's still, tough to get.
Bin Laden just sat in the house. Everybody wanted to find him. How are you going to find a guy in his house?
Yeah, but he was a little bit protected too by there might have been a little element of.
There might have been only because they wanted to, but he could have done it. He could have gone to your place in Cambodia,
right.
And he said, "Okay, I'm going to stay in your house. You go get food for me."
I mean, you could.
How would anybody fucking find him ever?
Actually, that's where you go. You go to my compound in Cambodia, and no one will ever find you.
No, you're just sitting there, and then you're feeding him. You're bringing him food. You
need a guy with a third world compound someplace. That's it. Which is why I have one of those.
Yeah, but you could do it in New York too. As long as you had a roommate that bought all the food, and he's sitting there. How would anybody ever know where he was? I don't understand how anybody would ever know.
Yeah, you can still vanish. It's still possible. You just have to be a little bit disciplined about it. Yeah. Right.
That's it. So the underground guys, I
always kind of pride myself in my ability to disappear for a few years. People would be like, "Where did Dave go?"
Yeah. You're like, he's back. Now you're kind of high profile. You're back.
I'm back.
Yeah, you're back on the radar.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook.
Yeah.
I got a profile. Taking names. Kissing babies. Shaking hands. Gonna run for Congress.
But you were just kind of having your privacy, doing your thing. It's like, it's kind of like going full interesting full circle discussion here. I kind of
like a modern day Runaway, but it's not the circus or Times Square.
I was a Runaway type kid. I was a runaway. I ran away from home when I was. I remember when I was the first ran away. I ran away several times, but one time I was very little. I was really young, and I ran away with a can of corned beef and a can opener, and that's all I had. And I climbed a tree, but I tried to open the can, but I didn't know how to use the can opener yet. I was probably in
Good
first.
thing you didn't fall from the tree trying to open that can.
Oh no, I was fine there. But I was like first or second grade, and I tried to open the can. I punctured the can, so it ended up getting rotten afterwards because nobody knew I punctured it.
Yeah.
But
could have gotten botulism.
Yeah, but no, botulism. There'll be something else. Botulism is the inside of a closed can, I think, and then it bloats up and it becomes like a balloon.
I thought botulism if the can gets like pierced.
No.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
Botulism is, I think, it's inside of a closed can.
Oh.
High pressure, and you can tell botulism is because the can bloats out.
Oh, I've never seen that.
I think so. It's very rare. These days, cans are so well made, and we got the can technology down, including this fucking bumblebee pig salmon right here, which is going to be
we're going to be able to live
dusted
off
like any minute.
That could keep us alive for a couple days.
And then we got a can of beans here from fucking not Walmart. This was from Stop and Go, and they're Stop and Shop, 89 cents, low sodium black beans. This is a lot of food for 89 cents. Yeah, this and some garlic is kind of all you need.
Okay.
For a day, a couple cans of this, some pieces of garlic.
I think we're out of garlic.
Dude, we gotta get garlic.
Right.
Yeah, we do have some old vegetables from the grill. Well, today the guys are coming over. We're gonna have a great time. So big barbecue today. Definitely gonna have fucking barbecue. We were gonna go walking, but yesterday Dave ate shit. We were hiking. Talk about that. We went on this was kind of funny hike actually.
I was taking Paul out for a long hike, and I'm like trying to show him.
No. He didn't say it was long. It was going to be a short hike near the house.
Like an easy hike. Like before lunch, like just get out there for a few hours, get the heart going. I took Paul like on the death hike, the Baton Death March in New Jersey, like through New Jersey's scrub. And somehow I got this hike, I got it figured out. Like you go in a circle, but somehow it's uphill the whole way.
That doesn't make
I know.
No, yeah.
I know, but it's like it feels
physics-wise.
Yeah,
but
physics-wise, but it feels
it's uphill the whole way.
Feels like it's like you do a big circle somehow.
It's a loop route, but you end up climbing the whole time, and you end up at the same elevation.
Yeah, it's like
something's fucked up there.
And
Twilight Zone, that's what it is.
It's like you're in the Bermuda Triangle of fucking hiking, and it's like you start to give up hope. You think you have enough water for days, but like
we're out of water.
Yeah,
we're out of water.
And then anyway, like a third of the way into it,
snakes.
Quite a few snakes.
Yeah.
But a quarter of the way into it, I eat shit somehow. I fucking fall
It was strange. I was behind
It was
you.
a weird fall.
And when you fell, like we're going downhill,
like tripped over a snake
it was the
or
one.
something.
It was the 1 meter of downhill, and then
the one downhill spot.
But it was the
fucking
worst
fall.
thing because it was like it wasn't just rocks in the thing. It was like rocks that like they were like tip of the iceberg rocks, very hard sticking out of the ground rocks, and then
lots of good places for me to like break my jaw.
And then you fell face down in there, shoulder first, downhill. So it was like an extra 4 feet or 5 feet of speed coming up, you know.
Yeah.
And then you just like face planted, shoulder planted into the rocks, and I'm just like, Dave, you know.
Dave is down.
Yeah. Man down.
Man down.
Black Hawk down.
Yeah, so I hurt my shoulder because I have an old shoulder injury. So that's the worst. You have like an old injury and then you fall. It's like because you can't because you got to put your arms out because you don't want to you
can't teeth first into the
you can't teeth first into the rocks. You gotta sacrifice that shoulder. You know it's gonna hurt.
Right.
But that's it. And so.
But Dave rallied because when we finished, we
didn't turn Paul's want to turn around and go back.
We're like a third of the way done, a fourth of the way done.
I can't fag out and fucking pussy out.
He did it, man. He fucking did it. That was a long hike over a lot of fucking trees, fallen trees.
Like climbing over trees with a broken wing, no water, hot sun.
Dude, in Ottawa it was 86. It was 86 at night. We got home.
Yeah.
It was way higher than 86 we were hiking.
Yeah.
And we ran out of water. Yeah, I was totally out of my bottle was empty.
Yeah.
For like the last hour and a half.
It was still a hike like that, it's still almost enjoyable. It was a little rough at the end.
No, we had a good time.
Yeah, it was a little rough at the end.
I know I was in a good mood because I was throwing rocks at the end. I always do that when I'm in a good mood. I start throwing rocks. Because when I was a kid, right? When you were kids too, we were like Cold War, right? Russia, Cold War. And I remember watching Red, what is it? The one of the invasion of the Russians.
Red Dawn.
Red Dawn. And so before Red Dawn, there was a lot of Red Dawns kind of ideas. And the idea was the Russians were going to invade America. And we were going to be like, one day you're walking through the field and there's a bunch of Russian soldiers. So when I was a little kid, I decided I was going to get so good at throwing rocks that I could take one rock and basically kill a guy with one rock to the face.
Yeah.
And no missing. So because I knew he had a gun and I had one rock. So I had to get him first time. So I planned, I would see a tree and I'd be like, just wing it right at the tree. And I'd try to hit an exact spot so I could get him right in the forehead, just blast him right in the face with a rock. At least enough to knock him out, so I could get out. So that was always my plan as a kid because I don't like guns. I never had a gun. But I always thought one rock and my fists, I could take care of things, So I would always pick up rocks and wing them, and try to hit exact spots. And I was in a good mood because we're finishing. I was doing that. I was winging the rocks. I was missing a lot of shit though. It was the Russians would have had me yesterday.
Well,
about 100 times.
Yeah, I mean, it's not fair because they're always backed up by that cold Russian winter. They always got that behind them.
That's episode 2. That's the next episode, Cold Russian Winter. We're gonna do that one. All right, guys. There you go. Carnies, street people, scumbags, prostitutes, runaways. What is it? Elephant Man, Mexico. What vigilante?
Silver Mime
scumbags, clown in the woods episode.